So let's rewind real quick. First thing we did, step 1, find and graph the y-intercept. Our y-intercept was 16. Graph that. Then we factor it. We found our factors x plus 8 and x plus 2. Then what do we use our factored form to find? What can we pull out of the factored form? Our x-intercepts. Good. Or our zeros. So we pull this out, pull that out. X plus 8 equals 0. X plus 2 equals 0. X equals -2, and x equals -8. Okay? Then we can graph those two. Let's say that's -2. Let's say this about here, -8. Thumbs up so far? Press U for up for thumbs up, or press D for down for thumbs down. One up. Only one student's alive for me right now. Oh, there's Logan. All right. Now, so we did step 3, which is identify and graph the zeros. Perfect. Then we have to do step 4 is find our axis symmetry. So once we factor, we're pretty much doing what we did before. This is step 4. So we're going to add the two together. Divide by 2. -10 divide by 2. -5. So if I were to build my vertex, this is my vertex. -5 is going to go in there. Then step 5, insert the axis symmetry into your equation and solve. So my equation was y equals, now you could plug it into either one of these. They're both the same. I'm going to go back to the original one.
Wait, Mr. Why do we divide by 2?
You're finding the axis of symmetry. So you're finding the middle point between these two, between your x-intercepts.
Okay.
Okay. So what's the other way to do it is count how many spots between them, divide and take half of that. So it's like 6 spots between these. Half of 6 is 3, so I count back 3, 1, 2, 3, and it'll land me at 5 anyways. Then I go -5 squared plus 10 times -5 plus 16. If I have a nice calculator, I can do all that at once. -59, really? Oh, I made an error. That should be bracket -5 squared. There we go, -9. That's a much more reasonable number. Therefore, my point, say -9s are in here. And I draw my curve, hitting my 3 points. How do we feel about what I just did out of 5? Because the only thing we really added was instead of foiling, we went the other way and we factored. We went through, we just factored that. And then it's the same steps again. We've already learned these steps, right? Of how to do, we find our zeros, find the middle, and go from there. Sounds like some of you are going to need a refresher on factoring. Let me grab something we can factor here. Where is... Let's grab this here. Let's go 8x squared minus 10x plus 3. Ninth. Oops. Which one did we do? 9, 6. All right. So, first step here. I'm laughing because my daughter's talking to her class about something, but she's bringing up our cars, and our cars have nicknames, but she's not including that in the story. She's talking about Dad's Batmobile and Mom's whatever. All right. So first thing we do, identify the y-intercept. And our y-intercept is 3. And we can graph that real quick. And we'll just put a dot at 3, and then we'll work from there. Now we have to factor this. So what's our factors going to be for this? So if you remember, we need 2 things that multiply to make that number, and 2 things that multiply to make this number. And the weird thing is we have a negative there and a positive there. I'll give you a minute to work on this. And I'll check Guelph's COVID numbers from the weekend. Put an F in chat if you think you factored it properly. $12 per day isn't bad. All right, so this is where our factoring is going to come in. I would do the back part here first, because there's only 2 numbers that multiply to 3. And those are 1 and 3. Then you see you have a negative here and a positive here. So the only way to have something add to a negative, multiply to be a positive, we put a negative on both of these. Okay. Then if we go back here, what's numbers that multiply to 8? Well, we have 8 and 1 and 4 and 2. 1 and 3 won't work. Did I do something unfactorable? I don't think so. So let's try, we'll work with 4 and 2 to start. Let's put a 4x here and a 2x there. Let's see what happens. That equals negative 2x. That equals negative 12x. That equals negative 14x. So that doesn't work. Right? So we switch them. We put 2 here and 4 there. Well, that's going to work to negative 6x. This is going to be negative 4x, and they add to negative 10x. So our factors turn out to be 2x minus 1, 4x minus 3. Okay? And now that we have our factors, we can identify our zeros. Now, how do we identify our zeros? So this was step 1. Let's go through here. Step 1, step 2, and let's do step 3 in green. Okay? So identify our zeros. We got to pull these guys out separate. So we get 2x minus 1 equals 0. And I'm probably going to get some dirty fractions here because I just made up the question. Then divide by 2, divide by 2. So x is going to equal 0.5 on that side. So I can put that one 0.5. This one, 4x minus 3 equals 0. 4x equals 3. Divide by 4, divide by 4. X equals 3 over 4, or 0.75. Okay. How do we feel about what I just did there? Thumbs up, thumbs down? Maybe not the factoring part, but defining the zeros. How do we feel about that? You've got a thumbs up. Riley's okay with it. Okay. So now we have our zeros. We can move on to step 4, which is finding our axis of symmetry. So this will be, add them up. Oops, what did I just write? Divide by 2. So 1.25 divided by 2 is what? .625. Okay. So that there is our, for building our .625. I apologize for the messy numbers, but they're not actually that bad. You can do it with messy numbers, you can do it with any number. All right. Right here. Let's move this guy down. Move you down. All right. So that's step 4. Now we go on to our step 5, which would be to plug this into our original equation. Step 5, we're going to take that number and plug it into our original equation. Our original equation was 8 bracket 0.625, and I will never give you one this nasty. It's squared minus 10 times 0.625 plus 3. Okay. I will always give you ones on assessments, stuff like that, that have whole numbers. Okay. So I have 8 bracket 0.625 bracket squared that's going to go about there. Then we draw our parabola. Besides the numbers being decimal places and things along those lines, how did we do with following along? How to do that? It's essentially the same, but off the top, we grab our y-intercept, and then we factor it to go back to the steps we already learned. Okay? So how about I take a look at what our homework is. We have 4 questions here to do. Let's do question 1 first. Okay. Question 1 has a good thing that we haven't done here yet. So I will do question 1. Maybe I won't do question 1 with you. Maybe I'll grab my own question to use an example. So give me a second to figure out an example. Equals. All right, there we go. I got a nice one for you. So y equals should I go negative? Let's go negative. Negative 3x squared plus 36x plus 84. Yeah. All right. So who can tell me what the very first thing we do here is with this? Type in chat or say what the very first thing we do. Perfect, our y-intercepts. So I'm going to start sketching right now. Good. And what's our y-intercept? You can tell me what my y-intercept is. 84. Perfect, Carly. So it's 84. So we can put a dot on our graph. And we'll say that's 84, like such. Now, our second step is factor to find the zeros. But what's in the brackets here is really important. Look the common factor first. So as you can see in the example here, there's a -2 in front of the x squared. In this case, we have a -3. So we can all state that the very first one we factored today, where are we here? This line here was easier to factor than this one here. Does everyone agree with that? This one here was harder to factor than this one here. Do we have a yes or a no for that? Who agrees that the first one we factored was easier? Okay, so let's see if we can common factor out this coefficient. We always want to common factor out the negative. But then, if you look here, 3 can go into all these. So we can common factor out the -3 from all these to start. So so that's just going to be x squared now. This is going to be -12x. And this is going to be, what was my number I come up with? Oh, I have to change something. I think I made an error. That should be -24. Sorry. They won't change the question really. This will come out to, oh, one second here. No, I was right in the first place. 84. There we go. Does everybody understand what I just did there? Okay, I took out the -3, right, of everything. So I common factored it out. Now we're left in a position where we can factor this. 2 things that multiply to make this. 2 things, and 2 things that multiply to make this. But also add up to make this middle term. I'll give you guys a minute to work this out. I'll give you a hint. It's going to have a plus and a minus. Okay? So put an F in chat when you think you have it factored. Does anyone have that factored yet? Mia's got it. Sure, if you want to type it in, you can, Mia. Oh, Dominic, you stole her thunder. She was about to write it in. So 2 things that multiply are x and x. 2 things that multiply make 28 are positive 2 and negative 14. And they also add, that would make 2x. That would make negative 14x. And they add together to make negative 12x. Okay? So there's our factors there. Now, it also makes it easier if you common factor it out. What's my zeros? Can anyone tell me quickly my zeros for this equation by just looking at it? Since we don't have a coefficient in front of the x's here, we don't have to do any weird, like we don't end up with this, right? We have to divide by anything. You can just look at that real quick and flip the signs. Good. Negative 2 and positive 14. Good. That's also a good thing about common factoring something out, is that it gets you a lot easier step down here. Not only was your factoring easier, but also your zeros are easier. So you negative 2, negative 14. There's my zeros. Then we're on to step 4, add them together. Yep. We add these together. 12 divided by 2, which equals 6. So if I'm building my vertex, 6 is my first point. Then what do I do with that 6? Can someone tell me? What do I do with this number that I just got here? Put it back in the equation. Perfect. So I go back to my original equation I have here. Negative 3x squared plus 36x plus 84. I'm going to put that 6 in for the x's. Then you can do it step by step, or you can use your calculator to do it all at once. This is old man rant time, but you guys are so lucky to have big calculators that can do all this. Back in my day, 192. Did anyone else get 192, or did you guys all wait on me to finish it off? So my vertex is going to be right here at 192. Therefore, my big graph would look something like this. Oh man, I really missed that line. I'm going to redo that one. It's worse than I usually do. Okay. How do we feel about that one? How's our confidence right now? Thumbs up, thumbs down.